Since his tragic passing in the 2001 Daytona 500, there have been tons of what-ifs about the post-2001 future of Dale Earnhardt. It's an intriguing prompt to look at. It can be reasonably argued that Earnhardt was the best driver that NASCAR has ever seen. If anyone were to push a new frontier forward in the sport, it would have been the Intimidator. So let's lay this all out. But before we go into all this, a quick word from our sponsor for today's video. Right now, it's getting colder, it's getting nastier, and it's getting snowier outside in a lot of the country. And if you're moving tools back and forth, then that's not good. So this is where Decked comes in. Decked Drawer System is a weatherproof system that protects all of your stuff from Mother Nature. Not only that, but it also makes organizing and accessing everything you need even easier. You see, each of Deck's full bed length drawers can carry up to 200 pounds of whatever you want to carry. And they're waist high for easy access as well. And with that, it's also made in the USA and backed by a lifetime no-hassle warranty and a second-to-none customer service team that can answer all your questions, whether it's from the website to ordering itself. So, to get your Decked weatherproof drawer system, click the link in the description box below and go to decked.com/iceberg for free shipping on your Decked drawer system. That's decked.com/iceberg to get free shipping on your Decked drawer system order. Now, back to the show. To this day, the most championships that any driver has ever won in NASCAR has been 7. First by Richard Petty, then by Dale Earnhardt, and most recently by Jimmie Johnson. But none have hit number 8. It's statistically the glass ceiling for drivers that has been out of reach for the past 40 plus years. And all 3 of these drivers have failed to reach this benchmark for different reasons. Earnhardt's passing being the outlier of the 3. For Petty and Johnson, the X factor was age. They more or less aged out of their time. Richard Petty won his 7th championship in 1979 at the age of 42. Johnson won his 7th in 2016 at the age of 41. Meanwhile, Earnhardt's 7th came in 1994 when he was 43 years old. Each of these 3 saw statistical fall-offs around or after their final title. After title number 7 in 1979, Richard Petty slowly fell away from relevance over the last 13 years of his career. He still had good seasons, he still got to win 200 in 1984 and was in the top 10 in points in 1987, but there really was no season after 1979 that he was in the thick of the title fight at season's end. You can argue that he was a championship caliber driver in some of the years, but he was never a man to beat. Then, with Jimmie Johnson after his 2016 championship, he quickly fell off a cliff. Some blame his 2017 Pocono crash, but statistics show that Johnson was falling off well before 2017 or 2018. Johnson's 2016 season was a rollback in performance from 2015. 2017 and 2018 only continued this, with 2019 and 2020 being horrid by his standards. His championship being more of a product of the system rather than a great total season. And then there's Dale Earnhardt, who after 1994 fought Jeff Gordon hard for the championship in 95 and was largely a viable threat in 96 before his mid-season injuries. And this largely amplified his fall-off from 1997 and through 1998 and part of 99. But his 2000 season bucked the 7-time fall-off trend. He wasn't a match for Bobby Labonte, but he still was a top 5 driver in points all year who ended up second in the standings at the age of 49. This is different compared to Petty and Johnson, but it could have been more indicative of a growing trend in the 2000s. The trend of elder drivers putting together championship level or elite level seasons. Rusty Wallace and Mark Martin were the ones who most notably did this. In 2005, Rusty Wallace ran most of the regular season as a top 5 driver in the points, only to have a subpar chase put him 8th in the final standings to the end of the year at 49 years old. Then, in 2009, Mark Martin won 5 races and challenged Jimmie Johnson, the best driver in the sport at the time, for the championship at the age of 50. Both of these drivers came from the same generation of drivers as Earnhardt, but I think it's obvious to say that neither are as good as Big E in general. The early 90s can attest to that. So, at the point of the early 2000s, age wasn't as big of a detriment as it would have been before or even after in the 2010s, for instance. But a driver doesn't make a championship season alone. The team itself is also a huge piece. The 3 years from 1998 to 2000 saw a big upward trend in performance for the 3 team. There was no reason to think that going into 2001 it wouldn't keep up. With Kevin Harvick quickly jumping up to Cup as a replacement for Senior, he still finished 9th in the points, with the RCR team only further proving their top-tier status. And after a train wreck 2002, he was back to being the top 5 level driver in 2003, before mediocrity took over in 2004 and 5. It can be reasonably assumed that the team of generally older guys probably wouldn't be able to gel as well early on with a young hotshot like Harvick at the time. And given the situation of losing a leader on the team, a veteran driver like Earnhardt would have hurt the performance of any team with him gone. So the fact that they ran top 10 in points in 2001 and still ran top 5 in 2003 shows just how good the Goodwrench squad was. So team-wise, Earnhardt would have had a good enough one behind him to probably make 1 or maybe even 2 more runs at a title. Now, I think the biggest curveballs of this thought process overall looking back is the issue of rule changes in the 2000s, and I think there's 2 really big ones, the biggest one being the chase for the Nextel Cup. Many different stories and rumors had Earnhardt retiring around 2003 to 2005. It always seems to switch up every couple years. So, if it was 2005, then Earnhardt would have to qualify for the chase in 2004 and 5. While I generally don't think being a top 10 driver in the points would be an issue for Earnhardt, the best in the final 10 races may have been an issue for him. In the 6 full seasons since his 7th championship, Earnhardt only gained more than 1 spot in points over the last 10 races once, and that was 1995, the year after. Another rule change, though, that seems to have affected RCR in the short term was the common template body cars starting in 2003. The general performance of RCR trailed off until 2006 when the Monte Carlo SS body went and replaced the Monte Carlo body. This differs from Hendrick Motorsports, DEI, and JGR, who all either won championships or contended for them in that 3-year span. So I think that this would be a major factor to look at in the chase years that Earnhardt would have participated in. Now, the largest factor is always going to be the competition, I think, as getting into the 2000s, the field was not any easier to go against. In 2001, Jeff Gordon harkened back to his 90s form with an insanely consistent and dominant season. 2003 saw Matt Kenseth's consistency put him on another level in another league as well. And in 2005, it was Tony Stewart's year, and then you can sprinkle in some dominance from Greg Biffle and Jimmie Johnson. While 2004 was open with more contenders, I think it's hard to see a 53-year-old driver with less than top equipment beating the likes of Gordon, Johnson, Kurt Busch, and even his son, Dale Earnhardt Jr., even if that 53-year-old is Dale Sr. I think his best chance at championship number 8 would have been in 2002. 2002 was a season that saw a huge opening for competitive teams. While plenty of teams had points leads, nobody really seemed to be able to keep it very long in the last 10 to 12 races of the year, ultimately seeing Tony Stewart edge out Mark Martin at Homestead. In a season that would have taken a calm head and nerves of steel to prevail in the clutch, I think a veteran like Earnhardt would have been best equipped to do so. I think when it comes to a close year like 2002, though, the X factor would be how often the driver is up front leading. While there were no stage points until 2017, leading laps would earn 5 bonus points, and another 5 bonus points would be earned for leading the most laps. And in the years after his last title, Earnhardt earned less and less bonus points. From 1997 to 2000, he never led over 400 laps in a season. The only season from 1995 to 2005 that saw a champion with that stat line was Matt Kenseth's 2003 season, which isn't a likely season to replicate, as I think it was an anomaly. So, with all of these factors laid out, what's the verdict? Well, I don't think everyone's going to like what I say here, but I do not think that Dale Earnhardt would have won an 8th championship before his eventual retirement in the early to mid-2000s. I think that he would have been the best performing of the all-time greats in ending his career, but that's really just what I think of it. Now, I want to hear what you think. Do you think Dale Earnhardt would have won an 8th championship sometime before the end of his career had he survived his crash in the 2001 Daytona 500? Let me know down in the comments below. And please try not to use too much favoritism towards the driver that he could have beat if it's your favorite, or don't use too much nostalgia in looking back at this. Just try and look at it with a clean slate. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content like this. And all my channel members, thank you so much for your support. It is always appreciated. So until next time, have a good one.